everybody, my name is Sally Ann Spence and welcome for day 13 of our 2-week dig here at Court Farm. It's a paleontological dig and it has been showing us some amazing new information of this period in the lower Jurassic. But with me now is Murray Edmunds. He's a paleontologist. Hello, Murray.
Hello, good to be here.
Murray, well, it's great to have you here. You've been down there in the trenches. It's been very hot. We've come up here when it's a bit cooler on base camp. Murray, can you talk us through a little bit of what you've been doing and why we have 2 tablefuls of ammonites?
Right, well, I'm very into ammonites. And ammonites are really useful fossils because they're used in the science of biostratigraphy, which is sort of correlating the age of rocks using their fossil content. And we're very interested to understand the biostratigraphy of this site. They tell us what intervals of time are present, but they also tell us what intervals of time are absent as well. That's something that I think people tend to forget. And the reason they're so useful is that they evolve really rapidly for reasons that we don't fully understand. They're also very widely distributed geographically. So if you're into your ammonites and you sort of collect them bed by bed, you can see them changing, you see them evolving, and you see the same sequence over huge areas, you know, right across northwest Europe, in the marine Jurassic rocks, and even in different regions of the world, like the Pacific coast of America, or North Africa, or the Indian Ocean. There's enough overlap of ammonite faunas that you can actually use them to correlate the ages of rock across different areas. For example, this is an evolutionary sequence we've got, which is very relevant to this site. So that's an ammonite called Harpoceras serpentinum, and it's left a lot of impressions on the fish nodules.
And so this is a nodule that's come up from the trenches, isn't it?
Yes.
Here on the site. Yeah,
this is actually from here. That one I just brought, that's from Somerset because it's been prepared, so it shows you what the ammonite would look like. And then as you go up through the rock, that evolves into this ammonite. This is called Harpoceras falciferum. And then it evolves further into this one, Harpoceras subplanatum. So I don't know if you can see, they're getting more involute.
Right.
More
show
tightly
us
coiled.
What you mean by that then, because they look very similar to me. Iconic ammonite, that lovely swirl here. What's the characteristic difference then between these three?
So that the whorls are getting more, they're tighter, they're overlapping more.
So we can see
So
it
this is called the umbilicus, and it's it's wide here, and it gets narrower and narrower as it evolves through time. Incidentally, Harpoceras, the name comes from the Greek harpe, which means sickle.
Oh,
and
okay.
it describes the sickle shape of the
Oh yes, I can see.
ribs.
I tell you what, Emily, come on in. I'm going to move one of these so we can see. Can you see this? There's the blade of the sickle, and that would be the handle. So that's how they've got their name.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And then these two illustrate how useful they are for correlation, because they look, the preservation is completely different. This is in mud rock from the Yorkshire coast, this darker one. And then here's the same ammonite, but preserved in sort of pale limestone from Somerset. But we know that they're pretty much exactly the same age, geologically speaking, because it's the same ammonite species in 2 different places.
Look at that. And you've got a block of all sorts on this one.
Yeah, so this is interesting in that one of the unexpected discoveries on this site, sort of a bit higher up, maybe 4 or 5 metres higher than the fish nodules, we found a hard, condensed limestone bed. It's very iron rich, and it's packed full of ammonites, and it seems to be mixing ammonites from different intervals of time. This is not from this site. This is actually from near Baldry in Oxfordshire. Okay. But it's actually got the same kind of ammonites that we're seeing here, and it's a very similar
It's not
bed.
a million miles away, actually, is it? It's not that far away. So this is very similar species to what we've got here, or the same species?
Yeah, in this higher bed. The difference is at Baldry, this lies directly on top of the Milestone Rock. But here, there's sort of 4 or 5 metres of Whitby mudstone underneath, including these fish nodules. And we don't think this has been documented in this area before, so that's
that's
a
a
new
first
find.
then. That's
Yeah.
excellent, excellent. And then can you tell us about some of these beautiful ammonites you've got on here?
Yes, I brought some of these to really just illustrate examples of what we're finding here. So this is a thing called Hildoceras lusitanicum, and we found this in the upper bed. We haven't got any cleaned up yet, but there's no reason that we might not find ones as good as this. Right, so I brought this one to show the structure of the ammonite shell. It might be best if we start looking at this example here. So this part of the ammonite was called the body chamber. So this is where all its organs and soft parts were. But then beyond that, can you see these sort of leaf-like patterns?
Just here?
Yeah.
Oh, they're pretty, aren't they? Aren't they beautiful?
And they're called suture lines. And they are made from where these chambers sort of meet the external wall, they crinkle up and they form these patterns. And when the ammonite was fossilised, quite often these chambers filled with calcite crystal, which gives a slightly different look to the phragmocone of the ammonite in the body chamber. And in this one, the chambers haven't completely filled with calcite, so we've actually got these voids,
and
you can see the crystals in there.
What would they using these empty chambers for then? It's not, if that's not the body parts in there.
So this gave buoyancy to the ammonite, so they sort of floated in a vertical position like this, tentacles came out of there, but they could regulate their buoyancy, so they could rise or fall in the water column by regulating the density of fluid in these chambers. Yeah.
So that's how they propel.
Yeah.
And do we have any idea what they were eating?
So there is some evidence. They found ammonites that inside the body chamber there are free-swimming crinoid fragments and crustacean fragments. So, all cephalopods, squids, octopuses today, they're all carnivores, they're all predators. But obviously they weren't fast-swimming things, so they'd probably just be grabbing whatever came in range of the tentacles and
we see them in the stomachs of other things, don't we, further up the food chain as well. So it's a really good...
Yeah, we find them with bite marks and
Oh, they're fantastic.
And the other thing I brought that might be of interest is the fact that ammonites seem to be sexually dimorphic. So the males and females were very different sizes.
Okay.
So we think, so for example, this is a macroconch and this is a microconch.
Okay, so this is a female and that's the male?
That's the assumption, because generally speaking, the females being the egg producers tend to be bigger. We don't know for sure.
Oh, wow.
But we see the same thing in every ammonite family. So, for example, completely different ammonite family, a small one and a big one.
A huge difference in size.
The size differences could be amazing, yeah.
So we should be finding male and female then in the blocks that we're pulling out.
Yeah, and we are. Yeah, we are. So in these fish nodules, there are little ammonites that I suspect are the microconchs of Harpoceras serpentinum, yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of them are sort of the trace fossils or the imprint of an ammonite. With a lot of the body sort of already gone.
I know, it's unfortunate, isn't it?
It is.
But
It is. You've got your work cut out.
I think a few have been found that are actually in the nodules, including a couple that I'm hoping are going to be a different species. So we're waiting to see those prepped.
Yeah.
And they should be really nice. There's no reason they shouldn't be as well preserved as some of the others on the table here.
Well, that's brilliant. So the ammonites are really important to the biostratigraphy of the site. And that will enable us to have a lot more understanding of the different time periods.
Yeah, I was going to talk about intervals that are missing, wasn't I?
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
Have a seat. So come on then,
Okay.
Murray. Tell us about those.
So when you look at a cliff or a rock face in a quarry, you see the layers of rock, and intuitively you understand that this is the sediment accumulating over the years. And there's a tendency to think that this is a continuous process. But that might not be the case at all. Okay. So it could be that sediment was being laid down and then there was an interval of time when that sedimentation stopped, or even there was an interval of time where sediment that was already there starts eroding away again before new deposition begins.
Right.
And that's often not obvious just looking at the rock, but if there are gaps in time, there are going to be gaps in the ammonite sequence. So by finding the ammonites bed by bed, we know what intervals are there, but also what intervals are not there.
Brilliant.
And the Toarcian is full of gaps in the south of England, and we don't know what it's like here, so we're learning.
We are. Well, that's one thing we are definitely doing, is learning from this site. And also, we've said this many times before, it's not just what's going on at the dig here, it's the years of research that all this material is going to form.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal, really. Well, that is fantastic. Thank you. I know you've been in the trench and you're probably going back up there looking for your ammonites. But do keep following our videos. We are on our YouTube channel, We Dig Fossils, and also our hashtag is fossil fishing. Thank you, Murray, for explaining that about the ammonites. They are absolutely iconic and they're beautiful, and it's wonderful we've been finding so many then.
Indeed. Thanks.